Aloha, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner, and this is Sustainable Hawaii at thinktechhawaii.com, streaming live educational and entertainment sometimes on programming on both thinktechhawaii.com and on Olelo and OC Channel 16. I am absolutely delighted this morning to have a very special guest from Kauai, Robin Puanani Danner. Robin, many people may remember, is both the founder of the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement. She was a very young bank executive who also helped develop a housing authority for Native peoples in Alaska. She came back to her home state of Hawaii and helped develop a lot of very progressive, exciting organizations that are helping to move ahead the agenda for Native Hawaiians. We've got her here from Kauai. With no further delay, good morning and welcome, Robin.
Thanks for having me on your show, Kirsten.
One of the things I know is you've been recently elected to be chairperson of the Sovereign Council of Hawaiian Homestead Associations.
Yes, in September of 2015. It's a 29-year-old advocacy organization for Hawaiian Homelands. So 30-some homestead associations from around the state worked together, and they elected me as their chair. And of course, we kept Kamaki Kanahele as our chair emeritus.
Wonderful.
The
He
original
brings
founder.
Lots of knowledge.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And he keeps me in check.
Terrific. Tell our viewers a little bit more about what the Sovereign Council does and what you may be doing.
Well, there are approximately 38 homestead associations around geographic areas around the congressional trust lands that were created back in 1920 all around the state. So there are 4 on Kauai, there are 7 or 8 on the Big Island, there are many on Molokai, Maui, and even here on Oahu. And so the SHA unifies leaders from all of those homestead associations to work together on policy issues, policy advocacy, sharing knowledge about projects that what might be very successful in one homestead that we can share with another, and to do capacity building so that we're performing at the best that we can for our communities.
And I remember working with you years ago on the Waimanalo Homestead Association Community Tech Center, which is now realized its entire vision, including not just the technology center, but an enterprise center, an educational center, a studio like this one to help Native Hawaiians take advantage of the fiber optic network that they have, a commercial kitchen, and other things. Now you have taken that model and done some really wonderful things in Anahola, where you've returned to.
Yes, I mean, I've been home 18 years. I'm a homesteader in Anahola, and Waimanalo is a great example of homestead associations seeding each other to have ideas that then sprout into amazing projects. I mean, the Waimanalo Enterprise came from the Hawaiian Homestead Technology program that was developed on Kauai and Papakolea, and then Waimanalo took it another step further. So in Anahola, we have a certified kitchen for many years now, and a cafe. We just opened a thrift shop. We're doing a lot of micro enterprise work now. We developed a little salon. I think it's the first salon owned by a Hawaiian on Hawaiian homesteads. We've built an enterprise center in Keikaha. We've done it, and we opened just 4 years ago, we opened a campground.
And I want to talk more about that campground, but tell me first about the enterprise center and what that does for the community.
Well, first of all, it gives us a place to gather. It gives us a place to bounce ideas around the room, around the table, etc., and to share ideas, because a lot of the best sustainable projects have been done or have been thought about, and so we don't always necessarily need to start all over. So I think gathering and putting human-to-human contact, brain-to-brain, mana'o to mana'o is probably been the best thing for doing community-based programming.
Does it also provide kind of an innovation center, or I'm trying to think, like the Manoa Innovation Center, where it's nurturing new businesses?
Yep, absolutely. We do a micro-enterprise loan program out of that. We talk out business planning. For example, just two Kane just in the last week came in and we're talking about a potential little coffee shop. And the other gentleman is talking about a surf rental business. So we need to foster and malama one another on ideas that could get legs and could springboard to economic self-sustainability.
And I know one of the most important things in terms of our viewers' interest in renewable energy is the solar farm. Can you tell us how that evolved and where it's at today?
Amazing. I'm glad you asked about that. And where did it start? It started in our little homestead at an enterprised conversation, looking at regional planning, and some of our kupuna on our Homestead Association wanted to do a renewable project. So we had land set aside in our regional plan for trust lands toward a renewable project. We didn't know what it was.
Tell me how large the trust lands are.
On Kauai, the trust lands are about 20,000 acres. In Anahola, that area of Kauai, which is northeast, the gateway to the North Shore, there's about 4,000 acres. Okay. So the kupuna and our board leaders, we walked down to KIUC, Kauai Island Utility Co-op, and met with the CEO, David Bissell, who still is there, and basically said, we're Hawaiians. We want to be at the front of the spear. We want to lead a renewable energy project. We'd like KIUC to contemplate placing their next solar facility on Hawaiian Homelands. And that was back in 2011. And the solar facility was turned on in November 2015, just a couple months ago.
And we have a photo of it.
You do?
Yeah, I think we can put it up there. So, yes, it's a little blurry, but you can see the size of it, right? It's how many thousand panels?
So it's 55 acres, and it's about 60,000 panels, if your mind can even wrap around that. And it's beautiful. I mean, because when I look at the solar project every day that I drive home, I think about the 1.7 million gallons of oil that are gone, that none of us have to see come off the boat and be landed and stored. 1.7 million gallons.
That's phenomenal.
When I see that solar project, I think about our ancestors. I mean, we certainly are the original sustainability population in the islands, and it's uplifting that Native Hawaiians put together one of the largest solar facility in Hawaii until the next project is built beyond a 12 megawatt.
And I understand that project is actually going to be able to provide up to 20% of the daytime electricity needs for the entire island.
Yep, so the energy flows into the grid and helps every Kauaian help have a smaller footprint on Mother Earth, a smaller footprint on our impact.
And one of the things that's cutting edge about that project is also that it provides storage facility, which is a new thing.
Batteries, yes,
yeah,
huge. But for me, the cutting edge part of that project is that it is the first time ever in the 100 years that we have had a land trust established by Congress, the first time in 100 years that a developer, KIUC, entered into a homestead benefits agreement with the community where directly negotiated, directly discussed, where we were able to coordinate talk story sessions, hear directly from community what their priorities were, what their fears were, what their concerns were, and then to work directly with KIUC to mitigate those issues or to address them straight up, to put them directly on the table. So I think that's innovative and something that Hawaii needs.
Do you think that was facilitated by the fact that KIUC, the Kauai Island Utility Cooperative, is a cooperative that is owned by all of the members of the community? Or did that not really matter?
Oh, I think it mattered, but I think the most important thing is that the community figured out a vehicle. We figured out a vehicle to carry our thoughts and concerns and desires, our goals, a vehicle that we could take to the developer. But I think that KIUC also has an extraordinary leadership team that understood, perhaps because of their co-op status, that understood that they are us and we are them. But I wish that, I don't think you need to be a co-op. I think for-profit developers need to contemplate, and then this is the new innovation for them, which is community benefits agreements, CBAs.
Absolutely, and when we come back, I want to delve deeper into the whole concept of how we can renew that concept of community benefits agreements. So we'll be right back with Robin Danner.
Aloha, this is Reg Baker and I am the host of Business in Hawaii. We talk about positive stories of businesses in Hawaii, how they have been successful and how they have overcome some of the obstacles that a lot of us encounter when we try to have a business here. And believe it or not, there are a number of positive stories here, and we want to talk to all of you. So we broadcast live every Thursday at 2 o'clock, and it rebroadcasts again on Olelo Channel 54. So I sure hope to see you next time. Please tune in on Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Thank you.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. My name is Anu Hittel, and I host the show called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. We go beyond outrage to find solutions to climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. I hope you will join me here every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We broadcast live from thinktechhawaii.com. Aloha and bye-bye.
Hi, this is Sustainable Hawaii, and we're back with Robin Puanani Danner, who's doing some amazing innovative things on the island of Kauai. So we were talking about the solar farm that KIUC worked together with the Anahola Hawaiian Homes Association to make sure that it was a complete, holistic benefit to everyone involved, including all the residents on Kauai. And you mentioned the community benefits agreements. How might this be a model for the rest of Hawaii and perhaps other states for how communities can make sure that they're represented in these developments?
I think it's obviously needed. I mean, maybe it's been so obvious that we missed it. But I think CBAs, these are old, this is not a new technology. This is not a new idea. It's used a lot, but not enough, and certainly very little in the state of Hawaii.
Why?
I think that Hawaii has had a very commercialized mindset for too long, or for a long stretch of time, pure capitalism, and there hasn't been room at the table for social entrepreneurs, for folks like me that, as a former banker, I love to bend capitalism for social justice purposes. I don't think there's been a room at the table. At the same time, I think that community has not found this vehicle as a way to voice their concerns. And so what we end up with is a corporate community that is figuring out how to either get around community, over community, or how to prepare itself for some clash with community, whereas instead it should be a project that they work on together from the beginning.
Absolutely.
The community cannot be the last to know. I mean,
I would argue also, though, that the community hasn't known how to do that. And so we've often ended up with clashing. And
which is why I'm telling
court,
you the community benefits agreement became our vehicle. We brought it to the table.
Right.
And we thought, we're going to try something new. We're not going to wait until you misstep and then go pick it. We want to be at the table, which is why community went to the developer and said, we would like to be at the forefront of renewable energy. Native Hawaiians, our Homestead Association would like to, and knowing that it was controversial, that it could be controversial for those. And so
but there
when
has
they
to be
asked
a vehicle,
us, well,
right,
when they
to
asked
help
us,
people.
when they asked us, we said from the very beginning, day one, we will go to our community, and we're going to have a talk story. We're going to hear what all the concerns are, and then we're going to negotiate with you, discuss with you, and how we're going to communicate and inventory those things is in a document called a Homestead Benefits Agreement or a Community Benefits Agreement. And that way we had a vehicle that we could drive a little bit, check the tires, fill up the tires, lower the tires, address issues that were happening, and then drive it a little farther. I think that is the innovation of the solar facility. I know others get really excited about the battery storage and the amount of percentage that it takes off the grid. Those things are a given. What's amazing is the human aspect of that project, which brought people with diverse opinions about a renewable project that had impacts together, and got them in the same car to drive around until they could. It was a vehicle that they could both live with.
It's a great analogy. And what I'm wondering is, as the new chairperson of the Sovereign Council of Hawaiian Homestead Associations, the SHA, are you going to be able to help other homestead communities to organize to get their interests represented as we look at the mandate for 100% renewable energy in Hawaii by 2045? Certainly developers are going to be looking at the homes, and they already are, but at the different homestead associations, and how can we make sure that each homestead association has that ability to represent itself and we avoid so much of the conflict?
Well, the first and foremost is these little known organizations called Hawaiian Homestead Associations have been around since 1987. They have largely been ignored, including by the state, but we're starting to grow. For example, Waimea Hawaiian Homestead Association up on the Big Island. Those guys have a very progressive leader, a very successful farmer who is sharing his technology in greenhouse farming, and they're building a certified kitchen. They're doing a renewable energy digester project. I couldn't speak specifically to it, but when community leads, when community has the vehicle to move something forward, it happens. You know, what's that saying? When the people lead, the leaders follow.
Yes.
I mean, it's starting to happen. And part of the job of the SHA, and my job as the SHA chairman, is to make sure that homestead associations are bumping into each other and sharing some of their successful ideas and sharing some of the pitfalls, some of the things that didn't work, so that we don't have to keep rerunning over that. So yes, on the solar project, it was a 4-year journey. But I do think that any development on Hawaiian homelands must include homestead associations. It has been the missing link for the last 100 years, where the state has gone out and given out a third of our land to pure developers without any Native Hawaiian involvement at all, if you can even imagine that. And that's what's wrong with the trust right now. But if we can get developers to work with and be partners with homestead associations, then I think that we're getting closer to what Prince Kuhio and the Congress intended in 1920, because those kinds of projects need to focus the revenues that they generate to infrastructure, to getting Hawaiians on farms, on ranches, and in their homes. And I think we're the key. I think homestead associations are certainly one of the keys. And
has there not been a misconception that Native Hawaiian people are against development? And I think what you're pointing to is that they want to be part of the solution and not be told what's going to happen on their land. So that's something that I think you're highlighting here, is that we shouldn't automatically assume that Native peoples anywhere, and particularly in Hawaii, are automatically against development and new technology, but rather want to be players in the game.
Or leading it.
Or leading it even.
You know, I mean, I can tell your listeners directly, if the 55 acres and the solar facility had been proposed, Hawaiians, sit down, we're going to take your land and we're going to build a solar farm, I'd have been against it.
Yeah.
And I should be against it, for my kupuna, for my children, etc. But Instead, Native Hawaiians and the Homestead Association came forward and said, developer, come talk to us.
Is there anything that precludes developers to do that? In other words, I know some of the interesting way in which things are organized in terms of state agencies in Hawaii representing Native Hawaiian interests is there seems to be either it's a precedence or I don't know, is it also a legal requirement that they go through certain agencies in order to be able to speak to Native Hawaiians or work with getting leases to Native Hawaiian lands?
Well, our position at the Shaw is if you're going to, if you are a developer or a non-Hawaiian that wants access to trust lands, you better talk to Native Hawaiians first. There's no reason for us to support that, whether the state supports it or not. It's not the state's trust, it's our trust. And so we are finally coming to the place where we're saying no. It's not okay to disenfranchise Native Hawaiians from our lands. It is okay and awesome to work with Native Hawaiians, either through their homestead associations, to put a project together that then we take together to the state. For example, our homestead association is just now starting the preliminary process of working with a green energy developer on Kauai that we want them to take down 1,200 acres of horrible albizia trees.
Albizia are invasives.
Invasives, and this company already has a bioenergy plant where they're harvesting and growing eucalyptus, et cetera, and we would like to sit down with them to see how we can work together on a project to remove our albizia so that we can get them back into farming, get those lands cleared so we can get them issued out to Native Hawaiians for farming homesteads and ranching homesteads and even housing. So there again, every opportunity that any non-beneficiary, non-Hawaiian would want with our land, any opportunity is an opportunity to work with Native Hawaiians. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah.
We just haven't thought about it. And I think that's true for the rest of the state on this whole CBA, whether on Hawaiian lands or not, wherever. Developers, I think it's a gift that the next generation of CEOs, the next generation of capitalists, social or not, the gift that they could give Hawaii is to bone up on community benefits agreements, just to school themselves on that aspect of business, of doing business. It's not a transaction of money. It starts with a transaction of ideas with the people who aren't going anywhere.
And one of the things that we know, particularly from the visitor industry on Kauai, where I was also working, is after Hurricane Iniki in particular, is those hotels that started with the community were able to flourish despite the hurricane and the long time it took to bring visitors back, because they had made those seeds, sowed those seeds, and developed a tremendous support from the community. And so the community was right there with them to help them survive and work with them.
Yeah.
And so anytime you have that kind of a relationship, you're going to ensure the long-term survival of the business.
Well, so for your listeners, here's a few examples of what's in that vehicle, what's in that car. Nothing was ever allowed to be put in the trunk. It was always in the front seat. So for example, we have a 20-year homestead benefits agreement that says, and during the construction phase, that we got to do all of the job fairs, our homestead association. So we welcomed everyone, et cetera. We did our outreach to community. And of the 90 men and women that worked on that project, 86% were from Kauai, 68% were Native Hawaiian, happen to be because they're in one of the largest Native Hawaiian communities. But it would have been entirely different if the contractor had done the job fairs.
Right.
We organized the job fairs. Another issue in the Homestead Benefits Agreement is an annual requirement to mentor our leaders in the operation of a renewable energy project. We want to see the numbers. We want to see the fiscal. How do you guys analyze this? How do you put a financial plan together? How do you execute it? et cetera. So every year we have an annual mentorship meeting with the top management of KIUC and the top leadership of our Homestead Association.
That's really exciting. I want to talk more about the details of that when we come back from our break. We'll be right back with Robin Danner from Kauai.
Aloha, you can join the Hawaii Farmer Series every Thursday from 4 to 5 on Think Tech.
And I'm your co-host Matthew Johnson, here with Justine Espiritu.
And we are so thankful to have this show to use as a forum to get to know all the movers and shakers in agriculture in Hawaii and hear kind of their background and history, as well as
their perspective on what they're doing and also the future for agriculture in Hawaii.
So join us every Thursday. You can tweet in your own comments and suggestions and be a part of the conversation at Think Tech High. And we hope to see you every single Thursday.
Hi, I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science on Think Tech Hawaii. Come join us every Friday at 2 p.m. when I interview interesting scientists about what they do, why they do it, and why we should all care about it. It's a lot of fun to see. We hear, and you can learn interesting stuff. You'll hear all kinds of fascinating science, and we know you'll have a great time. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Kirsten Baumgart-Turner. We're back with Robin Danner from Kauai, who's sharing really exciting news about how the community's been involved in the solar farm with the Kauai Island Utility Co-op. Tell me a little more about the details of that community benefits agreement and how you have managed to meld the community's interests and the developers' interests.
As a Native Hawaiian and as Native trust lands, we were first and foremost, we said the project must pay market value lease rents on the land to go into our trust so that there are funds there for infrastructure development to get Hawaiians on the land. And then we said, hey, we want to be a partner. We want to be a mentoree. As I shared before the break, that they mentor us and share the financial modeling, et cetera, but
so
also,
you have educational opportunities as well as transfer of technology into the community.
Yes, renewable energy, this not being done to us, but renewable energy, we are learning from it so that we can continue the next generation of renewable energy as community leaders. But the part that really makes us a stakeholder, because they're paying market rent, so that's awesome, done deal. But no, the developer and the community saw fit that the community should be a stakeholder through the entire time that solar facility is located on Hawaiian lands. And so a percentage of the value of the energy generated, so now it matters to me, it matters to our community if those panels get broken or if those panels are muddy and not generating as much from the sun as possible. So a percentage of the value of the energy generated by that solar facility comes to the Homestead Association to be invested in youth, in community programming, in cultural programming, mostly youth, and then to invest in additional enterprise, economic enterprise opportunities for the people in the community.
And I know that one of those enterprises, or all of them that you're looking at, are absolutely based in the foundation of sustainable development. You mentioned earlier the fact that the Native Hawaiians were our first sustainability gurus. I mean, we had, the estimate is 800,000 Native Hawaiians living here before European contact. And so it behooves us to have Native Hawaiians today pulling that knowledge from their ancestors to share with us in order to meet our sustainability goals.
Well, it's a kuleana of ours too,
Yes.
that we need to, in some ways, return to those areas and those technologies that can serve us well, and bring the best of modern technology to help us. And I think one of those projects is going to be a little pilot that we're going to do this year. We're going to do a little 5-acre to start, a mini ag park, I like to think of it as, and we're going to stand on the shoulders of the Waimea Hawaiian Homestead Association and those
On Kauai or the Big Island?
on Big Island.
Big Island.
And we're going to stand on their shoulders, and we're going to take a little 5-acre pilot and build the greenhouse farming systems, a new technology, turnkey, where we're farming together in a efficient manner, a low water requirement way.
So it'd be permaculture, maybe?
It's going to be right in the ground with the greenhouse, 96 feet by 20 feet, and then we're going to co-op together the produce that we raise, so that we can bulk up and be able to have a market on our island, rather than the pure capitalist model, which is competition and crusher competition. No, we're going to do the sustainable model, which is cooperative competition, where we're all growing in our own greenhouses, and then we're collectively selling our product together. So
Will there actually be a farmer's market then right on the Anahola Homestead?
it's under construction right now.
Oh, how exciting.
So we want to put we have farmers in Anahola, so
Right.
we want to grow more farmers.
Right.
We're really doing a grow the middle class farming, and we have to reteach ourselves. You know, the land has been kept away from us for so long. We have to reteach ourselves how to get in. I mean, because farming isn't easy, which is why we really appreciate Mike Hudson and all of the Waimea Hawaiian Homestead Association leaders for sharing their technology that is working for them with Kauai. So we're going to try to do it with Kauai, and then we're going to try to take the pilot, if it's successful after this year, take it out to Maui.
How exciting. Now, how did you get the financing for the greenhouse?
There are regular, normal USDA funding available for agricultural projects that Hawaii does not tap into. Why should Nebraska and Kansas and Oklahoma and Iowa be the only places where ag dollars that are going to be appropriated and should be appropriated in order to help have food sustainability? Why shouldn't we create a little line of that funding to Hawaii for these kinds of things? For goodness sakes, 90% of our food is imported to Hawaii, and I mean, that's the approach that we're taking. It's a no-lose proposition. You grow food, you can't go wrong.
So one of the things that's constantly debated is whether or not there is enough land in Hawaii to support our population with local food. I know that there's been a study done on the Big Island that Jeff Melrose did of the available agricultural land and already in agriculture. Do we need a study like that on Kauai, or is there one ongoing already? Or do we already have it at the Anahola Hawaiian Homestead?
I'm not aware of a study, and I'm an anti-study kind of gal. As a banker, that probably sounds weird because we research everything. We're like the risk assessors before we're able to take a risk. But I think that we've gotten analysis paralysis on some of this common sense stuff. Like I said, all you have to tell me is 90% of our food is imported. I'm not afraid to do a farming project.
Has there been the same pressure on Kauai with changing the zoning of agricultural land to urban that we've witnessed here on Oahu?
Yeah, sure.
And has there been the same conflict that we've had here between those who are pushing local food and food security and those who are really trying to fill the needs of lower income housing? Well, not necessarily lower income, but the housing gap.
Sure. I think I can either spend all my time howling at the moon on the policy issue, which I'm a policy wonk for sure, but on this issue, I think I'm better not to spend my time down at the county council on this issue, and to invest my time. Everybody has their role. Invest my time in getting more and more and more of our people on the land, in the ground, growing. Because once you're growing something, and we're able to have little successes, it will become obvious. And frankly, my own mantra is plant something and then you can't put concrete on it.
Interesting. Well, I hope that's true.
That's the methodology we're going to use. If we can get our next generation of farmers interested, maximize the technology that's available, and work together
Well, some people would argue, though, that the solar farm is taking away from
Sure,
that
you betcha.
agriculture.
You
How
betcha.
do you handle the balance of those issues?
Yep, you bet. Not everything is left or right. It is a balance, et cetera. So we looked at, our Homestead Association looked at it. We have 4,000 acres in the Anahola area. That land has been fallow since ever. I mean, the only use that land has ever had in the last 100 years is sugar by plantations.
And so why has it been
And
fallow?
so, well, that's another show.
Okay.
But again, I think it's because partly of what I talked about earlier. It's the inability or the state government operating the Hawaiian Homes program paternalistically, rather than taking homestead associations, waitlist Hawaiians, and partnering with them to do a project. They don't mean to, but what they're essentially signaling is go sit down, stay on the wait list, and we'll do it. You know, so I think
part
that's
of
it's
the
a
bureaucratic
yes.
traditions.
But
and we know that
it can
they-
be changed, but
Right.
that's part of our responsibility too. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is all up to DHHL to make better. It's up to us too. We had to step forward and start doing for ourselves. If we want to achieve sustainability, someone's not bringing it to us. We need to do it. We need to do sustainability day by day, little by little. And I think the thing I learned is it doesn't have to be this humongous, scary, grandiose idea. Although the solar project was huge. I mean, to get back to your original question though, it was 55 acres out of 3,000 acres of fallow lands, and we balanced it, we debated it, we discussed it, and we came to the conclusion that it would be silly to not take a sliver, literally a sliver, of 55 acres to not generate revenue to a fund that can then take the other lands and make them not fallow by getting water to them, by getting roads to them, et cetera. Otherwise, we're in a catch-22. If you do nothing,
You have nothing.
you have nothing.
And I know one of the other exciting things you've done for your community at Anahola, because you're also the vice president of the Anahola Hawaiian Homes Association, is the Kumu farm at Anahola Retreat Center. And tell us a little bit about that. And I also brought some photos to show.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It's Kumu Camp,
Kumu Camp.
and similar to the solar project and the thrift shop and the greenhouse project, these are all social enterprises or social initiatives that focus on families, focus on a healthy community. And so, again, 8 acres of lands located at Anahola Bay that came into the land trust about 55, 60 years ago, and nothing, literally nothing. And for the last 50 years, unfortunately, it became the second highest drug trafficking area
Oh my goodness.
on Kauai because there was no stewardship. And so our Homestead Association of Native Hawaiians went and, yep, there's the Kumu Camp, one of the we call them tentalos. We got them from Molokai Ranch.
And those were so fun at Molokai Ranch.
They're still fun,
What a coup
Kristen.
that you were
Yeah.
able to bring them over to Anahola.
They're still fun. And so this place represented really a difficult history, a difficult past, a land that was not cared for, that was harming our kids too, because just the proliferation of drugs and it was heartbreaking. So our community association decided to do something about that we should become stewards of this area, and that we should create a place where the kids and families, Hawaiian or non-Hawaiian.
And one of the things that you do is congregate in the pavilion that you have
Yes,
there?
we have a pavilion.
So I think we have a picture of that. And so what kinds of things can happen there?
Well, we've had yoga retreats there. We've had hula halau there. We do volleyball. We do a community volleyball tournament every other month. Well, actually the photo you have is of a yoga group. We have church services there sometimes. We'll have prayer circles there with some of the youth that come. The YWCA does a lot of their classes on this pavilion. It's very, very well used.
And I think we have a picture also of the beach community area. There we go.
Yep, that's Anahola Bay. Before, there was quite a bit of garbage and junk cars and things of that nature, but I believe it's sustainable now. We're in our fifth year of operation. We just got our environmental assessment approved, and we're applying for an individual wastewater system for it, and
maybe that wastewater system can actually be anaerobic digestion and provide some of the
I'll have to learn about
energy
that.
for the camp.
I'll have to learn about that.
Yeah.
But I think this is a community-based project that once again fits our area. It fits our way of engaging with Kama'aina and Malihini alike.
Because you also allow rentals from the broader community when it's not being used by
Yes, just like
homesteaders?
Camp Naui, Camp Sloggett, the county parks, et cetera, that people pay camping fees, and that helps sustain the cost of operating the land stewardship.
And isn't that a wonderful way to engage the community with what's happening on the homestead, and you get exchange, a germination
Yes,
of ideas?
absolutely.
That's terrific.
Absolutely. So,
I'm wondering what you have ahead of you. What is happening with the Shaw? You mentioned taking this concept out. Are there other things? I know you're also a member of the Hawaiian Roll Commission.
yes, exciting times for the state of Hawaii, exciting times for Native Hawaiians and Hawaii residents in general. The Shaw, besides doubling our efforts to bring our people together, share projects, take some of these ideas from Waimea, from Maui, from Molokai, from Kauai, from Oahu, and getting it going faster around the islands. We're also going to take a big leap, and we've partnered up with CNHA, the Council for Native Hawaiian Advancement, with Michelle Kauhane.
Who took over from you because
Yes.
you wanted to step down and allow younger leadership to move up.
Yes,
I applaud you for that.
I felt that we needed to walk the walk. I mean, so many of when we're CEOs, et cetera, we say we want to invest in the next generation, et cetera. Well, one of the best things we can do is get out of the way. And so I decided after 13 years of founding CNHA that I should walk the walk and pass that baton and stand behind with my hand on their back, and right beside them, and they just have an amazing crew out there. But
She's very impressive. I hope to have Michelle on the show.
that would be great.
Yeah.
We've partnered. The Shaw's partnered with CNHA, and we're going to take our first cohort of farmers and ranchers and homestead leaders. We're going to take our first cohort up to Washington, D.C. this year. As you do know, I spend some time in D.C. at the federal level advocating for good policies for Hawaii, good policies for Native Hawaiians. And I just think that there is another area that we need to expose more of our homestead leaders to that world, because
So you're taking them up to Washington, D.C. for media training, policy?
well, policy, of course we're going to storm the Department of Interior building. We're going to go to HUD. I want to take them to the Department of Health and Human Services. I'd love to take them to meet with some of the White House initiatives, some of the middle management that make things happen out in community. It's just a big world, and I want to give our 20 and our 30 and our 40-somethings a peek at what they can do at the front of the spear back in D.C.
So you're melding the hands-on experiential work on island with policy work and taking those knowledge base that you have in the younger generation and now exposing them to how to make a difference to move things on a national level.
Exactly. It's not
That's
enough
terrific.
to just do greenhouse farming. We need to build that bridge on all the aspects of it, and one of them is farming policy. One of them is farming resources, whether that's monetary or knowledge.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us. You've been a terrific guest. We're going to have you come back and keep us updated. Thank you, Robin. Aloha. This is Sustainable Hawaii.